Welcome back to No Fun Channel. I'm Felix, and I saw some videos and people talking about the way we treat animals and stuff. And what was funny is they were talking about dogs, cats, horses are not for consuming, but that's like a Western thought. Other countries they do consume those animals. Uh, Actually, I believe parts of the U.S. they consume horse. And then they had like a scale showing like how do you decide what to eat and what not to eat? Hunger. Sorry to put it like that. I mean, if we were a nation that grew up eating dogs, we'd probably eat them. If we were a nation that grew up eating cats, we'd probably eat them. The downside to eating dogs and cats, is they are disease ridden. Because I know a lot of countries have stopped eating them because they do carry a lot of diseases. Uh, and bats, people eat bats, and there's probably not an animal on the planet that a human hasn't consumed, which is funny to me that we as a country. Oh, my mic! I got invested a better mic, but like Western philosophy, everyone always tries to force it down someone else's throat. That's like with the whole uh, Ukraine situation just now. Trump. Oh my God, that whole thing was a debacle, and it was just vultures going in trying to make fun of someone. It's like he's a world leader, and your first thought is, "Hey, let's make fun of him," which shows none of these people have diplomacy. People talking about Mark Rubio and his expression. People realize he just sold his soul to the devil. It's like, well, it's too late now. You're in there. You're part of that group. But I just hope I hope this man doesn't take us into World War III. And that's what it feels like we're headed is into World War III with all this mess. But yeah, I mean, as for animals, back to the animals though. I was thinking about that, and I was like, I could, I don't know if I could eat a dog or a cat just because that's just the way I was raised. It's the same way that in some countries, they worship cows, and when I was younger, I used to think, well, if they're starving, why don't they just eat the cows? And then that's when I realized that's just the way they were raised. That the cow is sacred, and for us, dogs and cats are off limits when it comes to hunger unless you're starving. I mean, I'm sorry, but if I'm really starving and that's all I got, that dog and cat's going to be gone. But that aside, there are times where I'll look at the dog and cat food stuff and it's like, that looks better than what I eat. It's like, no wonder people are eating that stuff because it's cheaper most of the time. But yeah, I'll watch those food shows where they go and try different animals. Like, is it Zimmerman? Andrew Zimmerman? No, he's had uh, I believe he's had dog and cat and all those animals we're not supposed to eat. And horse is the most common one I've seen other countries eat that Americans don't have as big a hang up on. But yeah, I mean, if we're really part of the animal kingdom, then everything's fair game. Like it just has to do with the way we are, the way we were raised, and our belief systems. But yeah. But I was just something I was thinking about and it caught my attention. I'm looking at my hair. My hair is lopsided, but I have my hands running through it. It's nice and fluffy right now. But and I'm burning up. My office for some reason is really hot right now. I know the sun beats in here, and I guess we're almost out of winter. Uh, on the upside, the heat is helping me because my hip is still jacked up from the week before. Not this past week, the week before I threw my hip out, or actually my lower back, and heat helps it. And I think just this weekend it's finally healing. Cause I went to the gym Friday. I've been going to the gym every day. Well, not every day. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 weeks now. And last week or this past Friday was my second week, so I'm trying to keep my streak going. And Friday I almost didn't go. I was like, I'm gonna go, and I did legs and upper body. Everything went fine. Everything felt good. I did legs first, so I need to see if I can do legs. So I did legs first, and it was fine. I made it through there. Then I did upper body and upper back and lower back. Fine, made it through there. And then I thought, okay, I'm feeling good. I walk over, get a drink of water. Then I gotta go. As I'm walking to the treadmill, my left leg starts to stiffen up. It's like, what the hell? It feels like a muscle is being pulled all the way from my lower back all the way down to my ankle. Like there's a muscle fiber just being yanked, and it hurt. And at first I'm thinking, I kind of stretch my leg, I'm trying to get on it, and it feels all right. So I get on and start walking. Probably not even not hour, but a minute and a half. I think I made it a minute 40 actually. It's a minute 40 something. And I had to stop. The pain got so great, it was just like, I got to stop. Got off the treadmill, took my earbuds out, like I'm going home. And I'm almost limping. I'm trying not to limp. I've noticed if I limp when I have a hurt leg, it seems to hurt more. So I was trying not to limp. And I made it to the car. What's interesting is that when I first hurt myself, I had to literally lift my left leg to do stuff. Like I couldn't move it. And my right leg, I was able to fix it. It's like, it was almost like I threw my hip out of socket on both sides. And I popped my right leg and that pain went away instantly. My left leg wouldn't pop. But then I did some stretching exercise and I heard a pop on that side. And I kind of felt the dullness of it, and like a dull pop. And for a second, it seemed all right, but then it came right back. And today, probably the end of yesterday and today, it's feeling a little better. So I'm still going to go to the gym and work out. I don't want to skip, and I just don't want to skip any of the gym. I'm trying to get back in there, trying to lose the weight. So, but on that same note, I think it's interesting that people were like fat shaming Miranda Lambert. And I looked at the pictures like, if anything, she's a little chubby, but I think she was always a little chubby, wasn't she? I think there was a couple times she was like really skinny, but majority of the time I say she's always a little chubby. But even so, for a lot of you guys, if she came up to you, you're going to say no, you're lying. Which, it always surprised me when you see the people who are actually doing the fat shaming. They're the ones who are in horrible shape or smell really bad, or, something along those lines. It's like, why? It's like, you got no room to talk. What are you doing here? And I just never got it. And it's not just guys. I'll see women who will do that stuff. And it's like, you are talking about someone's looks. You're talking about how they appear and stuff like that. But yet, you might want to go look in a mirror. And it's like, you're nothing special yourself. I always thought that was interesting, people that do that stuff. Now, I will admit, have I ever fat shamed? Yes. But it was usually people I knew and we were joking around. Like, my daughter's chubby. She's fat. And we'll call each other fat and stuff. We'll do that. And my son's chubby and we'll mess with him. But that's within the family. We know each other. Now, do I feel sorry for real fat people, for really obese people? No, I actually don't. And the only way I would feel sorry for someone who's overweight, if they are dealing with real psychological issues that have caused them to become overweight, and also people who there's something medically wrong with them that is making them overweight. Because there are cases where people have a medical issue where they pretty much would have to exercise 24/7 in order to stay in shape, and they just can't do that. Their body, for whatever reason, just retains fat. Really, there's something malfunction in the body, and they got to take medication and all that stuff. But majority of the time, people who are overweight don't have anything traumatic. Like me, I'm overweight, and I can admit it. I'm overweight because I'm fat and I'm lazy. Well, I'm not overweight because I'm fat. I'm overweight because I'm lazy. And that's why I'm trying to stick with the gym to get out of that mentality. And that's why I've actually started doing the internet, because I always kept saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I never did. So now I'm doing it. The only thing I haven't done, I finally wrote 2 books, and I need to get back and write another one. The only thing I haven't done is the animation. I keep wanting to do this animation, and I haven't done it, and I need to do it. So I think starting Monday, I'll go to the gym, come home, and I was trying to do an hour, but I'll at least do a half hour of training. I'm going to go back to the first video I watched and rewatch it and redo the animation, and so I can get down some of the stuff that was going on, because I went back to try and do it, but it had been like a week later and I couldn't remember half the stuff. So I'll go through it again, redo it, and then I'll try to create my own stuff and go from there. I'll just keep going until I got my animation done. But yeah, whenever I hear about people fat shaming, I just like, I want to see you. What do you look like? And 9 times out of 10, they never show themselves. It's rare that it's someone who's fit. And a lot of times, if it's someone's fit who's fat shaming, one, they probably never been fat a day in their life. 2, they probably have an ego the size of Texas, and that's all they know is how to work out. They don't know anything else, anything about life. So yeah, but a lot of times people who fat shame are usually people who don't look good themselves, and that's the only way they can feel good about themselves. But also, was it Rob Lowe had said something about they were shooting a sex scene, or Nicole Kidman shot a sex scene, and apparently she was told she was brave for doing it. When I read that, I was like, they do sex scenes in movies all the time. I don't understand it. And even Rob Lowe was confused by that. It was like, no, wouldn't it doing a sex scene in a movie was brave? He was talking about, he remembers when it was pretty much mandatory. Like it was page 75 or something, he said in the script. If you had a page 75, you knew what was coming. There was no need to talk about it. So yeah, I think it's interesting that what was common is now considered brave to do. It's like, when did they stop doing sex scenes? That was my thing. It's like, there's still movies out there that do sex scenes. I don't understand. But here's the thing. Why I think they really said it was brave, which I hate, is whenever there's a woman over 30 who does a sex scene, they always talk about how brave she is. It's like, she's just over 30. I mean, there have been women who are like 33, 34, and they do a sex scene. Like, how brave. And God forbid you're being in your 60s or 70s doing a sex scene. Oh my God, you're so courageous. You're so brave. It's like, really? It's just a sex scene. Get over yourself. But yeah, it's amazing how much has changed. Because I remember growing up, and there would be like the straight-to-video movies or straight-to-TV movies, and sex scenes galore. And it was no big deal. You was expected to see a sex scene, a lot of TNA. And I guess maybe these people aren't watching the same movies anymore, or they don't make the movies like that anymore. I really don't watch a lot of TV because I don't have cable. So we have like Pluto, Amazon, stuff like that. But you don't get to see movies like that from the 80s and 90s no more. A lot of the independent filmmakers are now all post their stuff on social media. And it's just interesting to me that, yeah, all those classic movies, as they call them, or a lot of those movies are lost. They're gone. I remember a lot of movies that don't turn up anywhere, and I tried to search for them, and there's no record of them. I was like, God, what happened to these movies? And there's just no record of them. There was a lot of movies back then, a lot of movies that they would come on, you see them once or twice, and that would be that. Like, I remember a movie where basically you sold your, I don't think it was your air, but I think you sold your life. Like, you had so much life, and then once it was up, you could gamble with it, buy things with it, and like, it was a brother and sister who figured out the brother figured out how to use the system, and I remember his parents died, but he became rich, and his sister had a gambling habit, and she gambled away all her life, and she tried to get to her brother, and then she died. That's basically all I can remember about it, and I tried to search it and couldn't find anything. Then I also remember, what was it? there was a movie, and no, it wasn't the Justin Timberlake movie. This was long before then, probably before he was even born. There was a movie about people couldn't have babies without a license, and this couple secretly had a baby, and the neighbors knew. But then the neighbors turned them in because the neighbors also wanted to have the baby and do things with the baby. And the couple got domed in with the baby. I can't remember what the deal was with the baby, but why they couldn't have babies. But yeah, it was weird. But I can't find anything on that movie either. And there's a lot of movies that have just disappeared that I remember, and they're just nowhere to be found. I don't think anyone thought to catalog these movies. People just, the movie, we'll move on. Because especially in the 50s and 60s when TV really was first coming out, they taped over shows. They didn't save them. They just taped over them. It was like once the show aired, they taped over it. And I was like, wow, they just taped over it. And I thought that was interesting that they never thought to save this for future records, for future reference or anything. They just taped over it and moved on with their lives. Like a lot of TV shows are lost, a lot of TV episodes are lost because of that, and also the material they used to record on turned out to be really bad. So a lot of shows were lost because of that, because the degradation and the film material just degraded, it just disintegrated. In some cases, it literally turned to liquid or a liquid mush type of stuff. It was bad, but. Yeah, there's so much out there. But along the lines of Rob Lowe and Miranda Lambert, something else that also popped up made me think when I was reading those articles is trolls. Like people trolling Miranda Lambert, talking about she shouldn't wear stretch pants, and talking about the whole being brave during a sex scene. The number of trolls that came out of the woodwork on this stuff, it was just like, I don't understand trolling to the point of that's all you do. Like, I admit I did some trolling, but not to that extreme. Like, I did like a Rick Ashley, I basically rickrolled people. That was the extreme I went. But these people will troll, like, they'll create 5 or 6 accounts just to troll someone. Like, you really have no life. That this is all you did, is that you created 5 or 6 accounts just to go and troll someone and be like, haha, I got you. And it's like, what did you get? It's like, what did you get out of it? You came and harassed me, and yeah, it's like, you have no life. That this is what you're reduced to. You know, that this is your life, that you have to maintain these 5 or 6 accounts in order to maintain your troll, in order to earn zero money from it. You probably live in your parents' basement or live with someone. You contribute nothing to society, and you spend all your time trolling. That's your life. And I think it's funny that people get mad when someone points that out. It's like, you're mad because someone pointed out that you're a troll. You have psychological issues that you need to address. But yeah, trolls are funny to me. But something else that caught my attention is like someone talking about Snoop Dogg being a grandfather. I was like, oh, that's right, Snoop Dogg's a grandfather, and he's a grandfather again. But the reason I'm thinking of Snoop Dogg, because like I said, the article popped up. And I was also thinking about how many people are still mad at him for the crypto thing. I mean, he sold out. I mean, let's be honest, he sold out. And it's like, you can't be hardcore and then sell out. I mean, Ice Cube did the same thing. He sold out too, whether he admits it or not. But yeah, I think it's funny. At least the reason I have respect for Ice-T, he admitted he sold out. He's like, yeah, I sold out. I wanted to get out the hood. And if you can just admit it, I got no problem with it. Doesn't mean I'll hang around you or anything, but yeah, it's like Ice Cube didn't hide it. His whole goal was to get out the hood, not stay in the hood. He didn't want to live ghetto fabulous. He wanted to get out he wanted to live above it, get away from it, get out of it. So, Oh, I think the last podcast I talked about relationships stuff, and after I talked about, I got more stuff popping up now talking about that and why guys like I've been seeing more like why guys aren't dating or why guys aren't approaching women. I think for the newer generation, it's mainly because of everything they see on social media. They'll see women talking about they want a high value man, they want this, they want that, and the guys are like, you know what? I think I'm better off single. And then girls are talking about don't approach me in the club, so you got to stop approaching you. Don't approach me on the street. They stop the so basically, you said stop approaching, the guys will stop approaching. You got what you wanted. You want the bear? Go have the bear. And I hate that whole all men are potential predators. That means your father, your brother, your uncle, your cousins. You think they're potential predators. You think they can do that sort of thing. That's sad. Because on that same note, all women are potential predators as well. Because women do the exact same thing, whether you want to admit it or not. And it's just like, can we cut that crap out and just admit that you have no clue what you want out of life? But yeah, as for men who have stopped approaching women, I don't blame them. I wouldn't. If I was single in this day and age, if I grew up in this environment in this day and age, yeah, I probably wouldn't approach women either. But screw that. And then, and let's say you take the initiative, you approach a woman, you get a date, everything goes good. The next thing you know, you see pictures of yourself on the internet being called a creep and cheap and all this stuff. But yet, when you went on a date, she was all smiles and giggles, and you guys had a great time. Let's say you went all the way, and she's like, he was a creep and geek and made it feel like I had to go all the way. Next thing you know, you're a predator. And it's like, that's not what happened at all. And even if you defend yourself, it doesn't matter. They're going to believe her over you pretty much every time. And unless you can get a hold of the full footage that she took, yeah, it's game over. And even then, you're still going to be labeled a predator. But I do like the fact that in some places they are now punishing the women who make these false claims. And rightfully so. I'm stuttering, but they definitely need to be punished because you're destroying a person's life over a lie, and you need to be punished. And I do like the fact that more and more women are recognizing how stupid it is to bring an army on a date. Because now people are saying, if you are uncomfortable going on a date with this person, don't go on the date. It's that simple. If you're going to go on a date with a guy asks you out, you say yes, and you don't feel comfortable going on a date with that guy, don't go on a date. I see so many stories about the guy kept reaching out, make sure everything's good, and checking to see what you want to do on a date. Like, and the worst part is the women were replying, he kept asking me what I wanted to do on a date. And then we went to this place, and it's like, he asked you what you wanted to do, you gave zero input, so he planned everything, and then you didn't like it. That's 100% your fault. Because the guy did what he was supposed to, and you contribute nothing. So, yeah, if you didn't, simply put, that girl was just looking for a bad date. And if I was a guy, I probably wouldn't have went on a date, to be honest, if she wasn't contributing anything. But sometimes people still go and see what happens. But yeah, and I do like the fact more and more women are calling out these women who do this stuff. And it's past time that they did this, that they called them out for it. Now, as for guys getting called out, guys have been getting called out for years. So there's nothing to say about that. I mean, guys actually do get called out. They get called out all the time. So when I see women talking about, you guys need to call out the guys, it's like, we do. They get called out all the time. Every time you turn around, everywhere on social media, guys are getting called out. So there's no need for a call to call out guys. You know, it happens. It happens automatically. You don't have to worry about it. It's just like recently there was a thing again where women were posting videos of creeps in the gym, and I would say almost 90% of them were not creeps in the gym. One was literally a guy walking past two girls. He just walked past. He literally just went, shoo. That was it. He didn't turn his head. He didn't look. I think you could even see his eyes. His eyes didn't even glance their way. He just walked past. He turned his body to get past them. That was it. And they called him a creep. And the internet destroyed them. Yeah. So And there's even, I still remember the one where the girl, well, more than one actually, where the girl slowed the video down to make it look like the guy was looking for a long time. But at normal speed, this is what the guy just went. That was it. And really, he just turned his head, turned back. And if you watch the video, they're basically, let's say they're like off, I can't get on camera. They're off to the side, like here. He turned here for like a split second, but kept going. Then came back. He never paused where they were. He turned past them and then turned back past them. But she slows it down and then kind of cuts it. And it's like everyone knew you altered that video. You zoomed in, trying to make it look like he's a creep, and he wasn't a creep. You were the creep. But yeah, and I remember a Reddit story where the guy was talking about the girl at the gym. He was being nice to her, but then he discovered she was doing videos or something like on social media, talking about gym crush. So he distances himself. Then he finally tells his wife, and his wife knew the whole time. And so the guy was questioning himself. I was like, no, first off, your wife is a jerk. Because if that had been the other way around and you tell her you knew the whole time, she would have been pissed. People would have been dragging you through the mud. They would have been cussing you out. How could you put your wife in that danger? Well, his wife did it to him. Yeah, everyone was just like, oh, she knew. That's so funny. It's actually not that funny. Because the wife knew, never said a word. And here the husband's freaking out. Thinking, what is going on? This girl's been secretly recording me this whole time. And yeah, I would have been pissed at my wife. It would have been no question of, am I the a-hole? I would have just been hot and heavy, cussing my wife up one side and down the other. It's like, how dare you put me in a situation like that? You knew what was going on, and you said nothing. It would almost make me want to not say anything if something happened, she wound up in a situation. It's like, how dare you do that to me? You knew what was going on. You knew I was sweating over this. And, you said nothing. So, yeah. When I see stuff like that, the double standards, like I watched a video recently, I recorded a Reddit story and I didn't agree with the people. Because the way the story read is like the guy was sick. She described a sick guy who had the chills. She didn't say he was cold. She said he had the chills. And she said he had the chills more than once. Then it was so bad that he needed more than one cover and he could barely move by her description. But yet everyone was calling him the baby. It was a man cold. It was this and that. And, later on she admits that he does step up and help her. So she takes it as that they were both in the wrong. And the husband even apologized. Okay, yeah, I did say I would still take care of the kids in the morning. But sometimes stuff happens. And that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of social media is that people are so quick to go on social media and post just to get validation of how wrong they were. Because unfortunately, there will be people who agree with them. And it's just like, and majority of the podcasts who do these Am I the A-hole stories, sadly, always side with the woman. And it's like, and so many of them will read between the lines. It's like, when there's no lines to read between, like I remember one story, and they were reading the story, and they kept reading more and more into it, like reading between the lines. But overall, the person was voted not the a-hole. I was agreeing with them, but they like, nah, he's the a-hole. It's like, you guys read way too much into that. You added like 14 layers to it that weren't there. And I will admit, one time the host did say, well, based on what we have here, he wound them in, he rang them in, but he doesn't always do that. The host doesn't always do that. And I don't know what this mentality is of in these Reddit stories that people just automatically believe the woman over the man. And I see it a lot. You see all these videos and it's like, what is going on? It's like, I try to be neutral and just go by what's given to me. If more information is given to me, then my opinion will change. But people are so determined to take a side. It's like, you don't actually have to take a side. Just based on the information you have, what do you see? And it's like just relax. But I will admit, doing the Reddit stories, I do enjoy like watching the Reddit stories and then giving my opinion on it, whether I agree with the people in this, whether I think the person's the a-hole, and whether I agree with the take that the people have. I think it's a. I personally haven't seen it. I doubt I'm the first person to do it, but yeah, I think it's just for me. It's a way of doing it. It's because I'm doing all this by myself. So watching them and then reacting to their reaction, you know, like if they say the person's an a-hole, but yet I don't, I always try to explain why. And vice versa, you know, like there have been plenty of times I did not agree with any of the podcasts that I watched. And I always try not to do the same podcast over and over because I always pick different ones. But also YouTube will show me the most popular stuff. So it ends up being the same ones over and over. I have been trying to find new ones. And also with the Reddit stuff, I try to do Reddit stories because I wouldn't do more than just Am I the A-hole? So the Reddit stories, I basically kind of just let it read out and I give my opinion as it's reading out and stuff. Sometimes I'll critique it too. Like there was one story I did where they gave like a 10-minute backstory and it was just like, yeah, all that was unnecessary because it had no bearing on the story. If the backstory has no bearing on the story, it's pointless. And that's with anything. If you give me a backstory on a character that has no bearing on the character in the story, it's pointless. Like I'll give you an example of a good backstory in a way, because it kind of explains why Adam Eve doesn't live up to her full potential. Is Adam Eve from Invincible? Because so many people have said that she is Mr. Manhattan, that she should be like God level. She should be the most powerful character in the Invincible universe. And she's not. And if you go and watch the backstory they did on her, the one-off story on Amazon Prime, she basically had a traumatic childhood. So you could say that trauma has kept her from evolving and becoming more powerful. And because in the comic book, they had that she can't die. Like even from old age, she can't die. She's literally immortal. She's the true definition of immortal. I mean, from the way they portray it, she cannot die under any circumstances. Because I think Conquest pretty much bashes her head in, and she resurrects. She dies of old age. She resurrects. So she can't die, and that's something I wish they would change in the animation. Is that she would tap into the fact that she is way more powerful than she realizes. I wish they would have Adam Eve I kind of wish they would do another one-off story where she just unlocks her true powers and just goes and lays waste to the Viltrumites and anyone gets in her way. But don't have her go crazy like they always do with a woman who discovers she's got godlike powers. But just have her realize that there is literally no one that can stop her. Because really her powers are that she can rewrite people on a molecular level. Like she rewrote people's minds to forget about her. And one thing I have noticed, whether it's Marvel, DC, anyone, any comic book company, even in anime, when they create a character who can rewrite someone on a molecular level, and it's a woman, they always have her that she doesn't know how to use her full powers. But if it's a guy, they either have him go straight villain or the anti-hero type approach and become OP and can't be stopped. But with the woman, they always have them go crazy and don't know how to use their powers and lose control and all that stuff. With Adam Eve, I would like to see him not have her lose control, but discover she's basically a god. Because she can transmutate anything to anything else. So yeah, she's powerful. But oh man, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that was an example of a character where the backstory makes sense to add more. To me, it felt it makes sense to add why she doesn't use her full powers. There have been times where I'll listen to somebody's Reddit stories and they'll give a backstory, and it's like that had nothing to do with nothing. It explained nothing. And even in clearly some of these Am I the A-hole stories, they give this long backstory that has nothing to do with nothing. It's like, this is AI written for sure. There was no need for the backstory. The backstory served no purpose. And because I'm listening to this, and the backstory, like, one, they gave the backstory how they grew up, and then they go into what went on, and the backstory of how they grew up had nothing to do with what was going on. Like, because it starts off, am I the a-hole for turning my neighbor to the police? And they give this long backstory, how they grew up, and then they go, and it had nothing to do with the story, because the neighbor shot their dog, so they called the cops on them. Like, what was the backstory for? The backstory had nothing to do with nothing. It's like, God, that was a long backstory for nothing. But, yeah, I like doing the writer stuff, and I like doing the React videos. I've been trying to do more React videos and more stuff, but when my hip started hurting, I slowed down with all that, because I was just in pain. I really couldn't actually sit here either, because it hurt to sit. I kind of had to do this, like, lift my left cheek up in the air, kind of sit to the side kind of thing. But yeah, I'm feeling better. But I might hop on to Moho and rewatch that video. I need to plan it out. That's what I should do, make a schedule, and so that way you sit down and do the Moho. But my nose is actually starting to run. I'm not sure why. But I think I'll end it here. This should be enough for my video. But yeah, I need to get focused on Moho and work on my animation. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Everyone take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Later.